Hey guys, this is Bud Uppy Chow Yao. Um, I have been contemplating a lot lately. I'm just thinking, what if could have been for me if I have never moved to the Netherlands when I was 10 years old in 1997. If, let's say, butterfly effect, um, that just never happened. Me and my family, we stayed in South Carolina. What would have happened for me psychologically? I described with ChatGPT in complete detail of everything that went on ever since like I moved to the Netherlands, and told them what would have happened for me if like also the abuse that happened took place growing up in the Netherlands and in Belgium and so on and so forth. Like, what would have happened if I stayed in South Carolina, connected to my father, still with my mother and my siblings, my grandparents, so on and so forth, my aunt, my uncle, my cousins. And this is what happened. A lot of my friends, they keep telling me, oh, probably would have been dead or dead from heroin or this and that. Like, I actually don't think so. And I described it with ChatGPT, and it kind of makes sense. It really makes sense. It explained in detail, step by step, how it would have been. Okay, I'll read it out. So this is what the answer it gave. I don't want to show you what exactly I described with ChatGPT because it was very personal and detailed. I want to keep it PG friendly, like just in case. I just want to keep. I don't want to. It's really disturbing some of the things I've experienced ever since I moved to this continent, Europe. All right, so um, if you had never moved away from South Carolina in 1997, your life might have followed a very different path. One filled with your father, grandparents, aunt, uncle, and cousins. A life where you stayed connected, supported, and safe. And that was definitely true for me. I didn't felt that way in Holland, even though it was replaced with a step family. But it's just everything about them was different. They were all pretty like atheistic. Where I come from a Christian background, nothing against atheists, but it's like you must understand, like it's a everything's just different. Anyway, strong family bonds and security. You would have grown up surrounded by the people who loved you most, your father, grandparents, and extended family. Family visits, shared meals, traditions, and everyday life with them might have created a strong sense of belonging and emotional safety. Most importantly, you believe that if you had stayed, you would have not experienced the abuse that happened when you were 14 and 15. That kind of trauma changes a person, and without it, it's keeping it clean with abuse, because I asked it to keep it clean, the answer, so I can make a video about it. That kind of trauma changes a person. Without it, your mind and heart may have grown differently with more trust, more peace, and less pain. See, it's true. I mean, yeah, I might experience some other, it won't be perfect, but also the father figure part, very important, because my stepfather never did anything with me. Like, he just goes to work and isolates himself behind a PC and never spent time with me ever. Like, he was a terrible, terrible father figure. Anyway, in South Carolina, your father would have been present in your life, and he wasn't perfect, but I met him a few years back and catched up with him. He's he's a normal person, right? Like, he was a Christian, and nothing wrong with that. Anyway, in South Carolina, your father would have been more present in your life, someone to guide you, teach you, and show you what it means to be a man. Now, that is so important because I never had a father figure. My stepdad just was a nobody. He was only like, I was 10 years old and he was 22. It was like he was just a fucking kid, right? You wouldn't have had to grow up without that guidance or feel the loneliness of not having someone to look up to. Instead of a stepfather who didn't spend time with you, you might have had a real father figure who cared, listened, and showed up for you. So that was very important. A different feeling of home. Staying in South Carolina could have meant growing up in a place that felt like home. Familiar voices, southern warmth, family stories, and a shared sense of identity. You might have felt more rooted instead of disconnected, feeling lost, less lost. And that's definitely true. I felt so disconnected in Europe for reasons. Because I was too old. I was 10 years old. I mean, I was in elementary school in the United States. Like, what the fuck? Disconnected, less lost, and more sure of who you were becoming. Emotional and psychological well-being. Without the trauma you experienced as a teenager, your mind may have developed with more safety and trust. You might not have carried a psychological pain, confusion, or feelings of being lost that followed. Having your father and family around could have given you emotional protection and stability during your teenage years, especially when life is confusing and hard. Who you might have become. Different friendships, schools, choices, all influenced by being surrounded by people who loved you. You might have grown into a more confident, grounded version of yourself. Yeah. Not perfect, but not as hurt, not as alone. So that's what's important. Yeah, of course it's not going to be perfect. Nothing's perfect. Of course, I might experience difficulties if I stayed in South Carolina, but I think it would have been better than moving to a fucking Europe. Like, ugh. You may not have spent so many years feeling lost without guidance or love. Why these thoughts matter? This what if isn't just fantasy, it's a way of honoring your pain and acknowledging what was taken from you. It shows how much you valued your family and your father's presence, that the abuse and emotional neglect you experienced hurt you deeply and you didn't deserve any of it. Yeah, I was a kid. That you know what kind of life you should have had, safe, loved, and guided. Exactly. I don't want to read the rest. It's all about what can you do to. No, I don't want to. So that's what angers me. What I need from my friends is to just stop saying shit like, all my life growing up in Europe, I felt like I had to be somebody else. I had to be the, I had to, for my mom, I was never allowed to talk about United States. I was never allowed to talk about my father. I had to act like he never existed. Me and my siblings were forced to have earrings, just like our stepdad, because he had an earring on one ear, even though I didn't really want to. She forced us to change our surnames, even though I didn't want to. I had to go with that, no choice, and I had to swallow. I had to bury that part of myself, and so all the friends and connections I built in Europe wasn't really real. They were friends with a masked version of me. And lately, since this year, I've been doing really well for the first time in many years, right? And I'm starting to see my mask breaking away, and the real me is coming out. And I feel I'm starting disconnecting from people that I was connected to through Europe, Holland, and Belgium. Realize, I never was. You never really got to know the real me, and it's not your fault. It's me. It's just you were friends with a version of me that was never real to begin with. It's like. And I just realized, I still am able to pull up the mask automatically. It happens automatically. It's like an ability. But then once I'm by myself, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. It's like I see it taking over. Like I was at church today talking with people. It's like I feel like I was sitting in the back seat and just watched my mouth and my behavior do its thing. It was very weird. It's just now I'm aware of it. It's like I don't know if that's a curse or a blessing in disguise. I don't know what it is, but. So yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. I have to accept that. I have to heal from it. It helps me heal to understand and accept that version of me. That what could have been if I stayed in South Carolina. Yeah, it would have still been toxic because between my mom, and my father. If let's say she didn't move to the Netherlands, my mom would still be toxic and abusive. But I would still find a way to be connected with my father. I would have still been connected with my grandparents. I would have still been connected to my aunt and my uncle. Maybe butterfly effect, my aunt wouldn't have probably had a car accident because when I moved to the Netherlands, I think I was 12 or 13, she passed away from a car accident. Butterfly effect, she probably wouldn't have had a car accident. Maybe because I would visit her regularly every few months. So maybe hindsight, like, I don't know, sometimes I wonder that, So my life would have been better, and it's okay to just acknowledge that. But yeah, at some point I'm going to have to let go and accept this is where I'm at the moment, right? It is what it is. But I just feel myself less dissociating. I felt like I was dissociating since I was 10 years old. It's so weird. I don't know what this is. I don't know what kind. I don't know. Whatever, man. Comment down below what you think. Whatever, man. Bye.